Hey there, hope you're doing well today. Please let me know if you're having trouble with the stream quality as we get started here. Like I've had the last couple times I've started streaming, my internet is suddenly kind of spotty, so we'll see how it goes. But I hope you're doing well today. We are going to be working on a website that I just thought it'd be fun to kind of sample how I typically work on CSS, especially, but even when I'm working with anything, how I learn. So what I typically do is I just find a site I like and I try to duplicate the site, or I find a functionality I like and I try to duplicate the functionality, usually without looking at anything they've done, and I just try to get it as close as I can. And then you actually run into real problems. You don't have to come up with your own design or anything like that. So it's like front-end Mentor in the wild. So you just find something you like and you try to recreate it, and that's what I figured we'd do today. I get asked pretty frequently how I learn, and so that's how I practice my learning. Like I said, my internet connection's a little spotty, so I might end up killing my camera just to make it a little bit easier to see. But let me go ahead and transition over here. And there we go. Hopefully that's helpful for you. You can see my screen right here. And I'm going to go ahead and kill my camera just so I don't have more trouble with that. Let's see. All right. Hopefully that helps. All right, so here we are. This is this coffee site called Retrograde. Back in 2017, 2018, something like that. I was in the Nashville, Tennessee area, and I checked this place out. I actually got a mug from there, and it's still the mug I use every day. So I really enjoy coffee. I can't remember if their coffee was awesome or not, but I do remember that that mug is still with me today. So I figured it's kind of a basic layout. It's lots of images. A little bit of text here and there. We obviously are not going to do the entire site, just the homepage, and even that we might be a little sparse on. All right, let me know how the stream quality is here. Let's see. And hopefully you can see everything I've got going on. Let's go ahead and jump over, though. I've got just my terminal open and the docs for Astro open. Astro is a static site generator, so it's perfect for sites that don't have a lot of like user interaction where they need to be responsive or reactive to things. All right, so what we're going to do is jump into the Get Started section, and I'm just going to scaffold this out with you. I do have a tutorial coming out soon, I think within a week or so, on Astro itself, but this will serve as kind of a starter for that. I like using PNPM because it's fast, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to just say PNPM create Astro at latest, and that should get us up and going here. You can actually use frameworks inside of Astro. So for instance, you can use React or Svelte or Vue or whatever, but I'm not going to do that. Today I'm just going to use Astro components. So they've got their own component syntax that you can use as well, and that's what we're going to stay focused on. And I really like this CLI interaction. Let's see, they give you what you can call this. So we're going to call this, let's call this Retrograde. What in the world? All right, here we go. Retrograde coffee. Let's see. Set up my new project. A few best practices. Oh, sure. That's fine. I'd love to know where you're watching from this morning, or this afternoon, or this evening. A video about the different types of ARIA and its use in future. All right, well, I do have some plans to do some stuff on accessibility, so that would include that. So I like that as a whole. Would you like to install it? PNPM? Yes. I hope you've been enjoying your week so far. Yesterday was a holiday in the US, so today's the first day back after a holiday, and I ate too much yesterday, which is enjoyable. So one of my hobbies I like to do, in addition to doing things like roasting coffee, is I really like to bake bread. So I baked a bunch of bread yesterday, and so that was enjoyable. All right. Talking about hobbies and waiting on packages to install. Would I like to initialize a new Git repository? Oh, sure. Let's do strict for TypeScript so I can show you some of that as we're in here, and then I think that's pretty much it. So let's see, let's CD into the Retrograde coffee, and then I'm going to PNPM. I guess it's already installed everything, so I don't have to install anything, so that works. All right, so I'm going to get this spun up here. Let me go ahead and just transition over here, and I'm going to go ahead and get this spun up in VS Code, and that way you don't have to watch me do all that. Hi from India. Hey, awesome. Thanks for joining. All right. So I've got this all set up. Let me switch back over. Okay, so here I am right here, and we've got the docs pulled up, and now I just switched this out for VS Code over this way. So what I'm going to do is open up the terminal here locally, and let's go ahead and just, let's just, I'll just add everything, and then we'll call it init commit. I have a shortcut I normally use, get AC init commit, which does all this for me, so I forget the syntax when I have to actually type it out. Okay, so we've got that up and running. Let's do pm run dev, and I'll show you around Astro just a little bit before we jump into actually building out this site. So let's see, open it up in the wrong screen. So let me move that over here. All right, so Astro, like I mentioned, it's really built for static sites, for sites that don't have a lot of user interaction, which is honestly most websites. So content sites where you might update some content, but it's not like people are having to interact to like order something or whatever, which in this case, if I was obviously building this out for real, I would probably not use Astro because this is an actual shop. But you can see here, they've got just a basic stuff set up. Everything is in this SRC folder. This public is everything at the root of your build. So for instance, if you have like a favicon like they've got right here, or if you have anything that's public facing, this will basically, anything in this folder will be published live at its exact location on your final build, your final site. Now everything else is found inside of a pages folder. This is the only one that's required, and then they give you some sample folders of other things you can do. So inside this pages folder, if I pull this open, you can see that what it has is up top, it has this little guard clause area. It's kind of like a markdown file, and they've stole that kind of concept from there, and you can run anything in here that's JavaScript. And this is all essentially server-side logic. And then down below, you template out stuff using what looks like HTML because it basically is HTML. And what you can do though is, in addition to HTML, is you can include things that look a lot like JSX. So you can see how Astro is borrowing from a lot of things and just manipulating them a little bit. So nice terminal shell. Hey, thanks. Hey, Dante, welcome. Good to see you. So you can see right here, I've just got an H1, I've got a paragraph, I've got inside here a UL, and then I'm looping. Well, actually, I'm not looping. They just duplicated this 4 times, but they've got a card component, and they've pulled this in up top. So you can see up here, here's this card component, and kind of like JSX here, you're pulling in props that you're passing to it. We'll look at all this in a little bit. And then they've even got TypeScript working here as well. And then you basically just pass these in using similar syntax again to JSX. You can write styles directly in line. That's what they've chosen to do in this example. And this will scope it to this section. So if I were to come over here, this component has all these things scoped to it. So if I come right in here, you can see, if I can pull this down here, see how it's got Astro dash whatever, whatever. All right, so it's actually pulling in this stuff right here. And in fact, that may be a bad example because it looks like it's just the link card. Yeah, right here. So you see link card grid. This is Astro, whatever. So it's actually creating this scope to this local component. So that's one way to use CSS in Astro. Layouts are kind of a special way of thinking about Astro components, but basically you can just pass in a section right here called a slot and drop in anything inside of a slot as long as you have a starting and a closing tag of the layout. So if I come back over here, you see that they got the starting tag, everything inside of here goes inside the slot, and right here, and then you've got the closing tag. And once again, they've added styles, which would be scoped to this index.astro page. So that's basically how you work with Astro. You can pass things around. I won't talk too much more because we're going to actually be doing this ourselves. So at some point, I'm just wasting your time. Let's see. Let's go ahead, and this is fine. We can leave all this here. This title. Let's go ahead and start kind of scaffolding this stuff out. So retrograde coffee. So I'm going to pass this in, and maybe what I can do is just say, well, you can have like defaults, which is what I was about to do, but let's just come over here, I guess, and say retrograde coffee. And when I save this, it's taking this title and it's passing it to the layout component right over here. This layout component receives it right here. It types it as a string, and then it dumps it into the title field of the head of the document. So if I save this, this right here should update to retrograde coffee, and there it goes. So hopefully that makes sense how that all works. I'm going to strip out everything else in here though. Let's see, down to the bottom of the layout. Like that, and like that. Okay, so we'll do that. That gets rid of everything. Let's get rid of all that styling. Let me come over here to the layout. Do I have any styling in here? I do. So I'm also going to get rid of all that, although this is a good thing to show you here. When you're typing styles directly inside of an Astro component, which is what I've got right here, you can type is:global, and this basically will not scope it to this component. It will make it available everywhere. I'm going to get rid of this though, and I'm just going to write my stuff in standard CSS. But other than that, I think we're going to leave all this the same. I guess what I can do is I'm going to go ahead and pull in some images into this public directory if I can. So let me do that real fast. Let's see, over here. I did grab the images from their site, so that's all I've done, and I renamed them. But I haven't thought through anything because that's the whole point of coding in public, is we do that together. What version of Astro is installed? Let's see, 1.6 something I think I saw. Let's just pull it up over here. 1.611. Yep, so if you want to duplicate exactly what I'm doing, you could do that, but yeah. All right, welcome from Indonesia. I can waive the images due to copyright issues. Okay, yeah, so I will probably throw up the code on GitHub and just exclude these images so that it, you know, when you try to build it or whatever, it won't be pulling from any images. But all I've done is grab all the images from their site. So I just inspected it using the network tab and just downloaded them all. But obviously I'm not going to post this anywhere because they're copyrighted images. But you can go grab them yourself and then dump them in this folder if you want to, and everything will work the same. So I put them in the public folder because these will be available on the public server on build. Now I could put them somewhere else, and we might even move them around. I might end up using a new integration called Astro Image, I think is what it's called. So if I do that, we might end up having to move those around. I forget how that works. What I wanted to do though is to come in here and grab this logo mark right here. So we'll make that the new favicon here. So this will be, I think it's image PNG is how that works. And this will be inside of images. Again, this is root to the actual build, and then logo mark.png. Like that. Okay, there we go. So now it pulled that in. All right, so let's actually get to building this out. I think I'm going to leave this for later because, as you can see, it has a mobile version 2. And I don't want to get stuck building a mobile nav for an hour, which is what I did on the last stream, I think. There's just a lot to consider there, and I didn't want to go real quick. So let's go ahead and build out. Let's add something here just for like the header area. And because this is only a single page, I could technically just like not, I could do it all in the layout because it's obviously, I'm only using one page here, but just for, because that's not the way you normally do it, I'll go ahead and leave it like this. So header right here. And what I'm going to do is add this image. And you can do this in a couple different ways. It's just a background image that takes up the full height of the page, it looks like. Let's just double check that that's the case. So if I come in here, yeah, so it just takes up the full height of whatever the viewport is. So whatever I give it. So let's see, because this is kind of behind everything, I think I'm just going to actually do this inline right here. And maybe I should look at Astro Image. I've only used this once, so if you don't mind figuring this out with me. Let's see, Astro integration. Where's my Astro Image? I thought I just looked at that. Astro Image. Okay, here we go. So images, this is... I thought they had like a separate section, but okay. So you can just provide images. That's not what I want to know. Where's my integrations? So these integrations here, these are just basically ways of working within Astro. So you can add sitemaps, you can add all this stuff, you can add Tailwind, which maybe we should write this in Tailwind now that I think about it. But so if you look here, this is technically experimental, but basically you can use it in normal node environments, just not other things if I remember correctly. Install Sharp along with it if you'd like to. Hey, awesome. Yeah, Astro is awesome for blogs. And that is one longer tutorial I have coming out, is how to do a blog, including like remote fetching and a bunch of stuff like that. So I think we'll probably use Sanity for the backend for that, but that might be a couple of months out still. Yeah, they've got some great documentation too. So let's go ahead and let's add this here. Let's see. It's really hard to see with this being so zoomed in, but all right, so let's add image, and I'm pretty sure I should add Sharp as well. So I'll go ahead and do that. So yeah, so it walks you through how you need to actually update your config files, and it's going to do it for you, which is another thing I like about Astro, is it tells you, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Is that cool? And basically, yeah, it is cool. So I'm going to let them do that. So that's what they did right here. They just did all that for me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add Sharp as well. So we'll do pnpm add Sharp, and that should install Sharp, which is a library that helps you work with images and basically makes this integration a little bit more powerful. Dante wants Tailwind. All right, anybody else have an opinion there? Let's see, this Astro config, I already did this. Except I need to, okay, so I need to pass this in as an object since I'm using Astro image. So let's come over here, let's look for Astro config. Let me put this down here. So inside here, this is this object that I need to pass in. See, I can also type stuff. So let's pull up the TS config, and I'll just do it that way. And let's grab this right here. All right, and that way I get typing. And then the way I use it is like this. So I pull it in as a component. So let's move back over this way, and let's pull this in as a component. And then what do I do? So I can just pass it like SRC or whatever, right? You have examples, so I don't have to read stuff. Okay, so that's a picture element. They've got a get image helper method. Okay, I guess we're gonna have to read it, or I just pass in SRC. Okay, so it looks like I can just do that. So while we're here, let's see, Dante wanted Tailwind. David seems resigned to it. Tailwind is fine. Keep it simple. I don't know if simple means Tailwind or not Tailwind. So maybe let's just do Tailwind because Dante was so into Tailwind. So PnPM Astro works for you. Yeah, Dante, I remember you saying that didn't work for you. I don't know. It does. I've never had trouble with it. So I'm not sure what to tell you there. Let's see. Isn't there like an add? Yeah, here we go. So this will automatically add it. So let's just do that. Let's see. Is there anything else I need to do? Sure, do that thing. So again, it's going to install it for me, and then it's going to tell me exactly how it's going to update my config and ask me if that's cool. And if it is, then I say yes, and then we're good to go. And I think that's pretty much all I have to do. I don't think I have to do anything else with Tailwind. Although we will probably need to, sure, do all that stuff. So now if I open up my Astro config, you can see it's added Tailwind here as well. Let's see, has it added like a Tailwind file? Oh yeah, it has. Look at that. So I've got everything in here, and I've got the typing from that as well. So we should be set to go. That means if I come in here and say pnpm run dev, let's see, everything should work. There we go. So I come back over this way. Here it is. Let's pull in our image first of all. Let me close that down. We'll probably need that open. We won't need that anymore. Let's close that down. Okay, so inside here, I think I'm just gonna say this needs to be, and it's these Astro components, you can write standard HTML in it. Now, it does have JSX style syntax, but you don't have to do like class name or anything like that. It's smart enough to figure out what you need. So in this case, let's see, let's go relative, and we'll see if this all works properly. And then I've got an image that I'm pulling in. So just like a normal HTML tag, since I'm pulling in a tag up here, this component up here, I can treat it like a tag. It's going to be self-closing. And then because I've got it typed, I can just hit Control and Spacebar, I think. No? Oh man, I thought I could. All right, well, for some reason it's not showing me that, but it looks like, according to the docs, I just reference images. I think I have it as hero PNG, maybe. Width and height cannot be both undefined. Okay, so it's actually telling me I need a width and a height, which I'm not sure I like that, but that's okay. So they didn't ask me. So we'll say like 2,000 and height is like, I don't know, 1,000. Oops. And maybe these need to be numbers. We'll see. Astro server crashed 5 times in the last 3 minutes. Okay. Well, that doesn't look awesome. Let's see. This might be messing with stuff. So let me... I was playing around with this the other day, and I forgot I had this working. So maybe that's destroying things. This does give me a chance to say that you should always use the Astro plugin here, support, because it's super helpful when working with Astro. The other thing is I've got like a pre-release version running, so that could be messing stuff up. So let me switch to the normal one. Let's reload. Let's come over here and refresh. Okay. So I think we're set to go. Images. Let's see. Where was my hero.jpg? Okay, so .jpg. Let's see if that pulls anything in. Cool, it does. Okay. So it is actually pulling it in. We're getting it to work with Astro Image. Let's close the sidebar. Why doesn't this like me though? Type string width is not assignable type. What? We'll figure this out. Yeah, Dante, it may be just an update with PNPM. That might be the problem. So I'm not sure why it doesn't like me, because it's definitely working. Let's pass some classes into here, and you can just pass classes to these components typically when they're integrations, because they handle that kind of stuff. You'd have to do that yourself, which we'll do in a second here. But if we said like height, actually no, I just want this to be absolute. Absolute. Goodness. All right, and then we'll do inset 0. Let's see if any of this works. No. All right, so a couple things are possible. One is that Tailwind is not working, but it is working. The other thing is that I just did not make this full height. So height screen, 100 view height. That should be right. Yeah, Astro Image steals a lot of stuff from Next. It's not quite as good. I'd love to see him do other things as well, but at least from what I've seen, I'm not a Next developer. But okay, so this is a header. Where's my header? Right here. I wonder why that's not expanding. If you see what I'm doing wrong, let me know. But I mean, that should take up the full height of the screen, right? Let's do height 32. Absolute, relative. Inset 0. I don't know what's going on here. Height, width. Maybe this just needs to be, this probably just needs to be object fit. Let's see. Maybe it's just fit something. Object fit. Object cover, I think is how that works, maybe. Yeah, so that's right. Max height auto. Maybe I just need to do it on here too. All right. That took a while. There we go. All right, so I want that behind everything else, so eventually I'm going to do like a negative Z index of 10, something like that. All right, you know these errors then, huh? Well, it looks like it needs, a string needs to be, src is a string, the width is a string, the height's a string, class is a string. But they're asking me to put these in, alt is missing. Okay, maybe that's all they're asking for. I guess reading it does help. So we'll do like coffee pour or something like that. Do you like that? Okay, so that's all it needed. It could have told me that a lot simpler. Okay, so we got that first image in. We've done one thing. Let's come back over here. We're going to wait on the nav till later. Let's go ahead and think through the other things we might need. So we've got this image itself. Obviously, that is the image component. We've also got this text, but it kind of like wraps around it. It looks like this is some kind of float. I'm not doing floats. No, I guess we'll have to. So none of these are really things that we can duplicate. I guess we've got a button here. So we'll need a button component. Let's, I guess let's go ahead and do this as like a welcome component. So let's do that. Let me pull up this sequential pasteboard I have and copy all this stuff, kind of one after the other. Let's copy the link address right here. All right. And let's move over this way and let's come inside components. Again, you don't have to do it this way, but we'll go ahead and do that. And maybe, see, there's a couple different ways to do this as far as what I want to show you. So let's call this welcome.astro. And again, you can use other components if you want inside here. You just have to add their integration like Vue or whatever, or React. But I'm going to just stick to Astro components because that's kind of the platform. So in this header area is where we can run JavaScript, we can do imports, we can do all kinds of stuff. Let's go ahead and let's close this down. Inside here, this will be, I guess we're going to have, let's see, I'll probably put everything inside of a main tag. So this would be, I don't know, the header, that doesn't really make sense for the header for the other thing. So maybe this should be the header. I don't know. Let's do that. So inside here, this is an H1. We'll say welcome to Retrograde Coffee. And then I'll have a paragraph in here, and coffee is that stuff. And then finally, another paragraph with all that stuff, and then order our signature coffee. Here, let's go ahead and wrap this with a link tag or an anchor tag, and then we'll drop that in there. Okay, so if I come over here, stuff should be happening once I pull it in, which I have not yet. Okay, so this itself is going to be exported essentially as like a default export. So if you think about that as normal JavaScript, I'm going to be basically exporting this whole component, which means I can import it inside of here. So just like they've done up here, let's go ahead and grab both of these. We'll say welcome, and it will import this. And then all I have to do is come down here. And again, I think I'm going to change this to like a div because there's nothing really there. So we'll have this be the main. And then inside here, I will just pull in welcome like this. So if I add that, it should add all that stuff down here. So again, it's just pulling in this as like a default export. Think about it like that from the welcome component. It's dumping in everything then below these two dashes down here below. Now, once again, I could add this stuff in manually. So for instance, if I wanted this to be like the title right here, I get access in just a second here. So import, let's see. Well, let's go one thing kind of at a time. Or maybe I should. Let's go ahead and let's grab this image. Let's pull this in here first. So this is, we're going to call this like library imports or something like that. I don't think I'm going to use the picture tag. We'll do that. And in fact, I think, isn't there like a way, if I go back here maybe on this to give a format? Yeah, there we go. Can I do like an auto format? Let's do avif. So it'll actually convert it for me because these images are huge. As I pulled them off their site, I realized that. So let's see, format. There we go. And then avif. So you can also pull in stuff like that. You've got quality things as well. So quality, let's do like, I'm assuming this is, oh no, it's a number. Like 80%, something like that. Oh, it's not going to pull it for us yet because what do we have a problem with? Oh, I tried to do the title. That's right. All right, one thing at a time. So let's grab just the title. We're going to deconstruct this from astro.props. And now if we pass the title in, it should pass in as the H1 here. So the way we pass that in, once again, if I come back over here, is just inside this welcome tag, we can pass in title like this, and then we can pass in whatever. So like hi. All right, and it will pass in hi down here as my H1. Now, one of the cool things we can do is we can type this as well. So let's remove this. If I hit Control and Spacebar, I'm not getting any typing coming in over here, but I can come over this way, and what I can do is, let's just do like a interface props, and we'll say title, it needs to be a string, and then if I type this as props, if I come over this way, you can see I'm now being told it has to be there, and it's not there, and I get this that tells me it needs to be there. So if I hit Control Space, now I get access to right here, one of the properties I need to pass in, which is title, and that was that. Okay, welcome to Retrograde Coffee. So there's a couple different ways to work with components. Obviously, I don't have to pass anything in here because it's the only welcome component we have in the whole site, but I could also pass this in. So for instance, I could pass this in, all this text in. If I had multiples of these, maybe that's what I would want to do. I'd keep the title perhaps the same, but maybe this would be like a slot component. And this just means anything I put in between two welcome components will be, or like a starting and ending welcome component tag will be added into this slot. So I could do that as well. Again, I could come over here, get rid of this closing tag, and then I'd have a closing tag here. And then everything inside of here is going to be inside that slot. So if I save it, it should be the exact same. I'm just basically doing it in the page rather than in the component, which would be the case if you had multiples of these welcome things. But I don't, so let's get rid of that. I have this, so let's get rid of this. And I'm just going to keep this super simple and just basically do all my work in the component and import it over this way. So let's get rid of all this. And let's go back to when things were simple like this. Okay. Get rid of that. All right, there we go. And this is going to be welcome to Retrograde Coffee. All right, so let's style this. I guess the other thing we're going to need is our image. So let's grab all of this here. And for now, let's just put it inside of a div. And then next to it, we're going to grab an image. This is, again, our image component. And this needs lots of different things. So let's see. We've got this image here. And I don't remember what I called that. Feature gallery hero. No. Oh, wait, I saw welcome. Hey, cool. All right, so I called it welcome. And again, I just downloaded that from their website. So images, welcome dot, I think it was a JPEG, maybe. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong site. Width and height cannot be undefined. So width, we're going to do like 800. And height, we're going to do like 300. All right, something like that. 400, I don't know. Let's see, what is this? 515 to 436. Sure. Something like that. At a quick glance. All right, so there we go. Let's go ahead and think through some styling things. So this is going to need a couple things. Alt, it will need like coffee and menu or something like that. What else does it need? I guess that's it. So let's see what typeface they're using. I think I actually chose this because they were using a Google typeface. Well, one of the reasons I chose this. Also, I just like their coffee space mono. All right, let's see what we got here. Fonts, space mono. Hey. Let's see. Let's just add them all, I guess. This is a program called Raycast, and it basically lets you interact with a bunch of different plugins that people make, extensions that people make. In this case, people made an extension for Google Fonts, so I can just quickly access those. What am I looking for? The layout right over here. So let's go ahead and drop this in here. Obviously not the most performant, but it'll do fine. And then, let's see, I need to add this in Tailwind. I'm trying to remember how I do this. So, let's see, isn't there like a font family? Yeah, there we go. And one of the cool things about Tailwind 3.1, I think it is, in past, is you got this type import. So when you're inside this extend object, you can just hit Control and Spacebar and then get access to everything you might need. So like font family right here. So space mono, and then actually I think this might be, does it tell me? Yeah, so it needs to be an array of strings. So space mono, and then sans serif. And wasn't it like a type too? Like I have to give it like, let's just look it up, Tailwind. And let's look at font family. So how do I extend this? Okay, so it's an object, but then I pass I'm going to pass sans 2, I guess. So we'll just say our sans are mono, that's fine. And then we'll do it like that. There we go. Okay, so that pulled in all correctly. All right, cool. So let's go ahead. See, it looks like they've got padding there. This is just like a floated thing. How do I do floats again? All right, float left. Let's do that. And we'll do this class here, float left. Hey, look at that. It's floating. Maybe what we should do is just float. Maybe just when we get to like medium or something. Then we'll float. And before that, it would just be block. Well, let's do that. Yeah, and then when we get to medium, we'll do width auto or something like that. Okay, there we go. So it's floating. I don't know if that really accomplishes the whole float. Yeah, it does. Okay, you get a little bit of it there. Maybe we come in here on both these and change these to small, so we get float a little earlier. I mean, I don't know. Let's just go back to medium. Okay, so we got that set. Let's go ahead and now what I could do is actually, if I'm going to have multiples of these headers, I could have this as its own component, so I don't have to remember my size. So I don't really. I guess this would be the same size as down here. So maybe let's do that. So let's create another little component, and I'm not sure what's going on down there. So let's close that down. Just randomly. I don't know. Okay. All I want to see is the size of this thing. So let's look at computed. Get a sense of their size, 27 something. So I don't know if that's going to be responsive as we get going, but let's create another component for that. So let's come over here and we'll call this like heading.astro. Now there's some cool stuff we can do here with props. So for instance, like one thing we might want to do is pass in. So let's do an interface props. We might want to pass in like a header tag. So like some of them might be H1s or H2s, and this would need to be a string. And what we can do is then grab this, and I'll show you how to do this in a second, and actually update it down below dynamically based on what we passed in. And I might even pass in like a default for that as well, but let's make this required. You need text as well. This needs to be a string. Let's see what else you might need. Now this is a link, but not all of them are going to have this. So href, like this string. I think that's probably what I would do. Maybe this should just be. Maybe the text should be a slot. Yeah, I think let's do that. Let's do classes though. We'll pass this in as a string and make this optional. So what we're going to do is pull this all in through Astro props. So const, and I'm going to pull in, if I hit control spacebar, don't I get those header? No? Oh, kind of. All right. Classes as well. And maybe let's give this a default header tag. So maybe we say defaults to H2. And then from our astro.props as props. All right, now what I can do is I can actually, now that I've got this tag in here, the way you have to do this is you have to be like const, I'm pretty sure this is how to do it. Header equals header tag. And then you say header. Oh, I can't use header. I'll call H level. What was that? H level. All right, and then H level in here. And then I pass in my slot. I think that's what we decided on, slot like this. Then what this lets me do is come in here to classes and basically set this up dynamically depending on what I want this to be. So like font bold, for instance, might be one. Class is not exit. Oh, it's because I need to actually type this in some way. So this needs to be, isn't there like a tag or something like that? Tag name map, maybe? No. HTML. We were just building out a coffee website that I like. I like their coffee, and I visited it a while back, and I still use their mug every day. Let's see if I can find my mug. Yeah, this mug right here, this white mug. I just like the mug, so I figured I was going to build out their site just for fun. So HTML element something. I think that's why it's yelling at me. Let's just not worry about it right now. All right, so that means if I come back over here, I can import the header up here. And one of the cool things about the Astro extension is that I can come in here and just start typing like heading right here. And you can see it selects it here. If I hit enter, it will import it up top for me automatically, which is kind of cool. Now it's going to yell at me, or at least it should, because I don't have stuff. So if I come over here, it should say I need a header tag. So let's add that. So header tag, and I need this to be an H1. Now, if I come back over this way, heading level is not defined. Oh, I got rid of that. I just meant to get rid of this. Okay, so now if I come over here, I think this should be an H1. Yeah, there we go. And you know it's not just pulling the default because the default is H2. So maybe what I can do, let's also have, all right, because we can just write JavaScript up here, right? So let's just have an object. So we'll call this like header styles or something like that. And then inside here, this is just going to be an object, and this will have like H1 or whatever. So H1, I guess we can just type it like that. This will be a string itself. H2, again, will be its own string. What I can do is then just style these based on what I want them to be like. So maybe sometimes you'll have an H1 that won't be the same style as this. So I might say like header styles and make this optional. This would be a string as well. Is that what I want? I think so. So, and these obviously need to be commas because it's an object. So then what I could do is say like font bold on that. And if I refresh this, come down here, can monospace things have font bold? Oh, weird. Oh, I forgot that I pass it in. I have to pass it in as the slot. Okay, so if I come back over this way, right here, we've got an opening tag, we've got a closing tag, and now what I'm going to do is pass this in here just as its text inside the middle. And that way, if I need to do like links or stuff like that, I can do that pretty easily. Let's see. Let's come up top here. Okay, so there we go. We got my bold right here because it has the H1 class. Now, what I can do, because of the way we just set that up, if I come in here and let's see, header styles, I could say that this needs to be an H2. And I think, let's see, how did I just do that? Well, I never actually applied this anyhow. I just applied it down here. Okay, that was dumb. So what we're going to do here is right now I'm going to ignore this because I can't remember how to do this in TypeScript to reference a tag itself. So if you know how, let me know. 30 minutes late? Yeah, that's all right. No worries. So what I'm going to do is come in here, and you can use something called a class list like this, and it's just an object that takes in an array where you can pass in strings, or you can also pass in other things. So in this case, I'd pass in like header styles, and what I do is actually take my, oh, I've got two header styles. That doesn't work. Let's call this styles up here. So here, what I do is take in my styles, and I pass in the property of header styles like that, I think. Yeah, that should work. All right, and this is just going to be strings. Oh, no, they're not, because they're all objects. Let's see. we'll do the typing later. That's why you shouldn't try to learn TypeScript while you're learning React, while you're trying to code live. So I am just learning TypeScript, so I might need some help on that. Let's see, styles. I think I can just type this as string. Can I do that? Which is not what I want anyhow. Okay, it doesn't really matter. Header styles. Right here, I need to pull this in. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm really struggling with my frame rate these days when I'm streaming, so sorry if that's a frustration. All right, now you can see if I come in here, you can see I'm getting this class, and then I'm also pulling in anything with an H2 class, which right now I don't have anything in there. But if I come back over here, you can see my H2 here, I'm passing in header styles of H2. So if I come back over here and I start adding stuff like font size, how do you do this? I'm trying to remember. I think it's like that, right? So it passes in font size 4 down here because I'm referencing styles from Tailwind, even though that's not Tailwind. Font size, text. Oh, it's text like 3XL, I think. Yeah, okay, so there we go. So it's actually pulling that in because I'm referencing this property of this object based on pulling in this prop and passing it down. Hopefully that makes sense. Obviously I have not typed these things, so that's why I'm getting yelled at. But yeah, so I want this to be an H1 because it is kind of the welcome, but I probably do want it to be styled like an H2. So let's actually style it how we want. So now whenever I use headings throughout the site, I don't have to basically manually type all that. I've done it once, and then I just pull in that component. This is the design of their actual site. Yep. Sorry again about the quality of the stream. Maybe I'll just have to start pre-recording these. I'd really rather not do that, but yeah, I'm not designing it today, unfortunately. And it's a pretty basic design, but you know, that's just fine. So now each of these down here, let's go ahead and let's actually get this thing styled, and then let's move on with our life rather than me just showing you Astro. So let's see. Let's close down this header. Nope. Where's my index page? Okay. So the other thing I want to do is put all this stuff inside the main. Let's add some classes here. So like, I think I'm just going to do all the padding and stuff right here. Something like that. Looks pretty close. And then let's do some gaps directly in here. So let's make this a grid. I'll do gap of like, I don't know, 12, something like that. Which I realize is kind of big. We won't be able to see it yet, but it'll space everything out here within the main tag. And I think that'll work. It looks like this welcome thing also needs some more padding. According to this, I'm guessing this is just a ton of padding. Yeah. So like 51. I'm not sure we'll do that much, but I guess we are kind of doing what they want us. We're doing their thing, so maybe we should, but we'll do like padding of 16 up and down. Something like that, and then maybe if we get to medium, we'll do padding Y of 24. That, I'm sure that'll work. Okay, so the other thing I need is this needs to be, I guess, let's see, probably the best thing to do would be on this image itself to give this some padding right of like 6, and then padding bottom of 6, and then when I get to medium, I guess both of these would just be at medium, because before then it's not going to be floated. So like that, I think. And then if we get smaller, yeah, they should just be stacked. However, I guess I'm always going to want this. Right? Okay, something like that. Let's see how close that is. That's pretty close. Now, we've got some colors to do too, so let's figure out what their colors are and update those. And we need to actually get moving here. Give me your color. Goodness. I think this looks like a Squarespace site. Let me just... Can I see that if it lets me? Okay, so I'll just need to pull that up. 2E
2E4542. Let's see if we can remember it. Tailwind, 2E4542. All right. So now what I want to do is also extend the colors. And let's call this like, let's see, let's call this like retrograde gray. I usually, when I do Tailwind, and if I do my own custom colors, a lot of times I like to do it like this, so that way I know it's something different than the default. And then I think this needs to be a string, perhaps. Let's see what works. All right, so let's come back over here and container queries instead. Oh yeah. Yeah, container queries would be nice. I mean, in this case, this container is only ever going to be in this one spot. So to me, container queries, the kind of the point of that is if you have the same container that's going to be in multiple places throughout your site, and that way you can style it based on where it's at. But I understand. It is cool, and I'm glad that we have it. Index, let's come over here. Let's just style everything inside here with text. And then what did I call that? Retrograde gray, I think. Yeah, so that updated. There we go. All right, so the only other thing I'll do is probably come inside the welcome component and space out the text a little bit here. So the way I would tend to do that is to do, make this like a grid with a gap of 4 maybe, something like that. Now that's kind of funky because it's all grid now. It's not going to wrap properly. So I guess I can't do that. All right. Things that you run into when you're doing floats. All right. So let's just come into this middle paragraph then. Again, we're kind of hard coding this, but in this case, I don't think it super matters because this is the only place we're using this component. All right. So there we go. I think that works. All right. And then I guess this link here needs a Tailwind class of underline, and that'll work. Looks like I also have some letter spacing stuff to figure out. Our line height stuff. Where's my line height? So 23, so 1.4. What is this? So yeah, let's do that. So let me come over again to my index, wherever that is. Okay, let's close some stuff down. Close that down. Close that down. Close this down. Come over here. Okay, so we'll do a line height of, what's my line height? I forget what it is in Tailwind. Line height. Come on, help me out. There we go. All right. Should we go to now, you're saying? Yeah, you're probably right. That's all my list of things to explore. I mean, I played with it, but I haven't really like gotten to where I understand it for all use cases. So let's see, leading 5. So I'll look into that this week. And usually what happens when I look into stuff is I start making videos on it because I'm interested to know, yeah, how it works. So. All right, there we go. So we're going to call that section done. We've got this next section here. And again, I might want to make this like its own component if I'm going to be passing in multiple things. This right here, see this looks a little bit bigger. So probably what I would do is open up my heading. And here what I would do is, let's see, I think I actually want this to be fumbled as well. But we do like text 3XL maybe, something huge. In this case, I wouldn't pass in white. I could pass it in as another class, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. What I want here, actually, I'll show you down here because this is what I'm going to want to do. So I'm going to pass in 2 things into this class list. One will be my classes string, which is going to be pulled in right here, and the other one is going to be whatever styles I have as like the base. But that way I can pass in like colors and stuff down here if I need to change those around. And this looks like just normal white, I think. Yeah, it's just white. All right. So let's go ahead and do that. Do I make this some kind of specialty thing? I'm not sure. And I'm guessing this is just like an overlay here. and it looks like it takes up full height no matter what. Yeah, okay, so it's actually very similar to this thing we got going on. So maybe in this case, I guess we need to make this its own component. So let's come in here and let's call this like overlay or something like this. Maybe this is just like CTA because that's kind of what it is. We'll dump this in here. We need to pull in that image component. So here, we aren't using a picture. We're just going to use the basic image here. And in this case, what I want is whatever I called that. So let's come in here to our images, hero gallery. Maybe it's roasts. Okay. So we'll call this roasts.jpg, coffee bags. All the rest of that I think will work. And I haven't pulled this in anywhere, so let's go ahead and do that. So just below here, I'm going to pull my CTA, hit tab, and it should autocomplete and import that up top, which means now, there we go, it converted it, and now I've got this right here. Now, one thing is because I've put a padding around everything in this main, there's a couple different ways to fix this, but probably the simplest way, which I know can be viewed as kind of hacky, but I honestly don't think it's a big deal, is to do a negative margin here. Probably just in the X direction. So that way it expands across the whole thing. I think that looks fine. The other thing I need to do is add some kind of backdrop, like, I guess, overlay to this thing. So this is an image. Probably the easiest thing to do would be to come into here and just do like a div. Let's see, div, and then make this a class of pretty much the same thing, except in this case, let's see, and get rid of all this and do background retrograde gray. Obviously I need to have an opacity on that, but just want to make sure that's coming in of like 20. Something like that. I don't know how that stacks up to what they've got. Oops. Let's click over here. Might need to be a little bit darker, and I guess this can also... It needs to be centered, I think, as well. So, object center. I guess it is. Maybe it's object left. Maybe it's object right. No, let's just keep it at center. And it's probably just the size I have on it. I'm not really sure why it doesn't look the exact same, but it's pretty close. All right, so let's go ahead and pass this stuff in. This is just going to be a CTA here. And again, I'm going to want to pull in. All these things are absolute, so I guess I'll just put this after it so I don't have to worry about. I think that should help with our Z indexing, but I'm going to come in here and grab my heading, and that should auto import it up top here. And then remember, I can pass in a bunch of different things. I want this to be an H2 by default, which is the default header tag, pretty sure. Which makes me think, why did I have that as a default? Because it's required, so not helpful. The other thing I want is my style, header styles, and in this case, I want this to be H1, even though it's a H2. And it's helpful to decouple those two, and that way your styling isn't dependent on your tag. And now if I come over here, it is hidden behind everything else. Maybe it's... Oh, I didn't pass in any text. So heading. Come on. Okay. Like that. There we go. Check out our latest roasts. Okay, there we go. Roasts. Let's come in here and let's pass some classes in here. So here's where I can pass in additional classes. So I could say like text white, and it should come in as white. So what I'm doing is I'm passing this in as a prop to the heading. The heading then grabs this. It's a string. It knows that. And then it dumps it in this class list, which is basically going to do like this, essentially, of my classes. Just a string of those. If it was... That's what this class list will do. It will string these and then string these all together into one thing. If I come in here, you should be able to see that right here. So see how it's passed in. These two right here from my H2 styles or H1 styles, and then this one down here from the classes that I passed in. So I really like that class list thing. All right, the other thing I can do probably is say that this needs to be a grid and place items center. And that should put everything in the middle here. Then I probably also need to add back in, let's do like a padding 4, something like that. Might need to be a little bit more than that, padding 6. Let's see, I probably also want to, it needs to be a little bit brighter, and then this needs to be behind. I think that maybe that's the problem with it not being as bright. There we go. Yeah, that still works. Maybe let's make this a little bit darker though. Maybe this doesn't need to be that at all. Maybe we need background black. Something like that with 30%. I think that looks a little bit closer. Let's come back to my heading. And I'm going to make this like 4XL maybe. And maybe it's not bold. It just looked bold. So let's kill the bold here. And see if that looks. I guess we need to kill bold on both these. And this probably needs to be a little bit bigger too. All right, we'll try something like that. Now the other thing I've got here is I've got this buy coffee button. Don't I have another button? Thought I had another button. Yeah, sign up right here. Okay, so we've got 2 buttons, so let's build another component. So I'm going to come over here. We're going to do the same kind of thing. We'll say button.astro. Now in this case, this sign up is probably a button itself, or should be at least. This is probably a link. So again, I'm going to want to have some kind of like header tag, or deciding what the tag is. Hey, Tapalike, welcome. Stream's current bitrate is lower than recommended. Yeah, no kidding. Okay, now it says it's okay. Not sure what I should do about that. If I should just not live stream and just record these things with me just rambling to myself. But I like the interaction, so I'm not sure what to do there. Sorry about my internet. Let's pull in. We're going to need a header tag. We're going to need text. Let's see, yeah, text. We'll need an href. If there's an href, we will need styles. Maybe we'll just have a type property, and again, we'll just have like something up top here where we pull those in, and then I think that's fine. Astro.props, and then let's have an interface up here with props. And we'll have all these things come in. So header tag will be a string. Text will be a string. href is going to be optional depending on if it's basically a link tag or not. And what are we doing here? This needs to be a string. Type will be a string as well. And then what I'm going to do is have some styles up top here. So const styles equals, and again, we're going to have 2 different. We'll have a light and a dark. So maybe what I should do is make this light or dark. Just make a little tuple here. And then these can be basically 2 different strings. Like that, depending on what we want it to be. So this would be something like, let's start in this light one first. So let's pass it in. Let's get all these things set up first. So we'll say const, let's call it like, I don't know, h tag, I forget what I called it in the other one, will be set to the header tag. I'm pretty sure you have to do it this way. You can't just pass this in as its own little component. And now I can say h tag like this and pass it in like this. Then what I want is inside of here, I want my text, not my text. And then let's see, what else do I need? I guess I could have my href. If it exists, then add my href, maybe. I guess I can just add it like this, and if it doesn't exist, oh no, what I want is this to then be a string, a template string with href equals href like this. I think that works. And I need one more to close this out. Boy, it doesn't like that. Types, spread types. Is it gonna like that anymore? Well, it doesn't like me. That's all right. Let's see if it works, and then we'll see what's going on. Let's pull in this button into this CTA. So what I'm going to do is pull in this button down here. So we'll say button like that. Got to start with a angle bracket. Okay, pull that in. And this needs a couple things. It needs a header tag. In this case, it will be a anchor link. It needs text, which will be buy coffee. It needs a style. What was that? Type. And this will be, and if I'm not sure what it can be, there we go. Now it gives me just the options of light or dark. So I think that should work, and that should pull that stuff in. It's mad over here. Still. So it doesn't like this. So let's just get rid of that for now. H tag. Okay, well that could also be the problem. So like that? No. Okay. So let's get rid of that. Okay, so we've got our H tag coming in here. We should have a button right here, buy coffee. Okay, nice. Let's see, let's also, we display gridded this thing and placed item center. Let's align item center, and that way they stay aligned on the left over there. Am I a freelancer? Kind of. I occasionally will build sites for people. I have way too many side projects going on, as is my custom. So, yeah, so right now I'm not really taking on stuff, but I've done stuff for clients too. I probably built out I'll build like 4 or 5 sites a year, usually small little sites for friends or people who are just connections with me. And then I have several larger sites that I manage myself that I do either for fun or 1 or 2 of them for a nonprofit. So, and then 1 or 2 for I have a blog or 2 I manage and do all the code for, and then I don't know. There's a bunch of random stuff. So, all right, let's come over here and see if this thing came in. See, oh yeah, so this came in as an anchor link, which is good. Let's see, the href did not come in because I didn't pass it in. But what happens if I pass this in like this? Nothing yet, but can I just come over here and say like href? Okay, so if I do that, it just passes it in. Okay. And if I don't have it, it shouldn't pass it in. So yeah, that should work. So I forgot that Astro, I think this is a recent change where you don't have to basically type this in or be like href equals href or whatever. You can just dump it in like this and it recognizes it as an href because it's a common enough use case. All right, now let's actually get to styling this thing. So if I come over here to the button, light, let's say, maybe what I should do is pass this in. So we'll do another class list like this. And again, this is just an object and it takes in an array. And what I'll do is pass in a string of common things, and then I'll pass in style dot type, thing like that. Styles dot type. All right, so down here, let's style this according to them. So we've got this light color, which I don't think I pulled in yet. So let me see if I can't get a hold of that. Goodness, where are we at? Okay. Let's see, our computed style color is just like opaque, maybe? Did I grab the wrong thing? I'm not really sure. Let me use a color picker. This comes with macOS by default. Let me pull it over here just so you can see it. No, it's not going to let me. Okay. Anyhow, basically you can hover over something and hit Control Shift and C, and it should just copy it for me. So config. Let's call this light. And with that on my clipboard, I should be able to just paste that in. Okay. And I'll just leave that thing up, and that way if we need it again, we can use it. So we'll call that RG light. Let's come back to my button, and this will be BG RG light. Let's see, text should be my same as normal color, I think. Let's see, well, give me the actual text color here in the pop-up. No. Nothing, huh? Okay, so I think that's the same as before, but I guess let's just double check. Let's come back over here. Let me make sure I've got this pulled up. Let's try it again. Yeah, so it's the same. Okay. So I don't need to change around the text. Let's see. I guess we need a common padding on all these things. So let me come down here, and that could be the string. So we could say like py of 4, px of 8, something like that, 6. I'll probably want fit content on here just so it doesn't wrap weirdly. Yeah, I think that's fine. All right, so if I come back over here, what I want is max fit, I think. Max width fit. Okay, and then let's also add to CTA, I guess, since this is what's stretching everything. Let's do align content center. Maybe it's just content center. There we go. Okay. That should work. And then I also want a gap of like 6 on here. All right. So that's pretty close. Probably needs to be. No, all my sites are. I don't think I have any WordPress sites currently. Since I'm not really a PHP dev. So most of my stuff is just Astro, or I've got some React stuff. I've got some Hugo stuff. I used to build a lot of stuff in Hugo. So a little bit of everything. So that button needs a little bit more space, so let's give it to it. This needs maybe 6, and maybe this is more like 8. Sure, all right. That'll work. Now we need a hover state on here as well. And since they both seem to be like just an opacity change, opacity 80. And then we'll see transition on the opacity. Something like that. I think that's kind of how they have it styled. Yeah. All right, so I think that works. It looks like this has some letter spacing things too, right? Sure seems like it. Some different letter spacing. So letter spacing. Tracking, that's right. Tracking wide maybe. So let's come back to our heading over here. We'll say that maybe both these need this for now. Yeah, that looks a little closer to what they have. All right, cool. So we've got those 2 sections done. Obviously, we haven't done a whole lot, but we've built out a bunch of components, so that helps us. And again, these headings, I like how these, now we can just pass in this little heading thing. We don't have to remember like exactly what size we want it and redo all this in Tailwind. And that's the power of Tailwind, is when you're using things that have components, you can very quickly do it. But thanks for that. Yeah, radio. I'm not sure anybody wants to listen to me talk about random stuff, much less coding, so, but I appreciate it all the same. Okay, so we've got a couple other things here. It looks like this is, it's like an H1 size, but it's clearly not an H1. So let's come back over here to, let's close the CTA. Let's come to the index. We'll call these like, what did I call them in the images? I don't remember. Gallery. So yeah, let's call it a gallery, and let's do like this. And this will give me a chance to show you some like data importing as well. Let's close this down actually and do it over here first. So gallery.astro, and then I'll pull it in here, gallery, so that it pulls it in. All right, so I've got gallery.astro right here. So there's a couple things we can do with pulling this stuff in. We could write it inline up top here, but maybe let's start with just having let's create another thing. Let's call this section.astro, And this is simply going to be a section tag like this. And then we'll have a slot here like this. And then let's see. Let's also pull in a heading right here. And we'll pull in the stuff we need here. So we'll pull this stuff in. But basically what I'm going to do is take this heading and I'm going to apply it here as an ARIA label. So you either need a ARIA label or you need to point this to a heading and its ID and say that it names it. So these should be the same thing if it's about the section itself. So let's also maybe do a helper function. So let's come down here and let me create another folder. We're going to call this TS. And then inside here, we'll have like a utils.ts. And then I want to export, let's do like a slugify function, const slugify. And this is going to take in text, which will be a string, and it will return a string to us. Am I doing that right? I think so. A function whose declared type is neither void nor any must return a value. Well, it's going to. Calm down. All right, so let's come over here and let's look for slugify function. I'm not going to write my own slugify function. I just need a... Okay, I'm not using vars. Sure, this will work. All right, so we'll grab all this. All right, and what I want is my text dot all that stuff. Like that, and we'll just return this. Let's make it implicit, I guess. That. All right, so I should be able to pull in this over here. So let's do that. So we'll say const slugify from... See, I need to go up into my, import, no wonder. Import, let's see if it'll automatically do it for me now. Let's go up, let's go into TS, let's go into utils. All right, so now what I've got is my slugify here, and I can basically wrap inside of here, or put inside of here, slugify, whatever my, let's see how I want to do this. I'm getting ahead of myself, but basically I want to take the heading text and slugify it. So for now, I could just be like, hi, I'm a person. All right, and then this can be pulled in. Over here, let's pull in the section. I'm not super explaining myself, sorry, but I'm just basically creating these little components that they can handle stuff for me. So for instance, if I passed in, I guess right now I don't need to pass in anything just to show you this. So if I close out this section, maybe I can just pass in a paragraph here. This is hi. Jump over here. What don't you like? H levels undefined. I know. I really am gonna get to it. Okay. So now down here you can see how I got hi coming in. Here's the text. But more importantly, if I can make this visible, you can see how I'm actually slugifying hi, I'm a person, which will be whatever I end up passing in here is would be my plan. So let's come down here and let's figure out what we need to get passed in here. So for this heading itself, I'm going to need several things. I'll need a heading tag. Now I'm going to want to pull all these things in through an Astro prop. So say const, let's just take in like everything heading related right inside here. And let's see how I want to do this. Yeah, I'll just leave it like that. And then what else do I need? That's really it. So maybe I just take in the exact same heading props. So let's take in all these. Right? Yeah. Let's just take them on here as, nope, astro.props as props. And I'm just gonna, I guess, reuse these here. There might be a better way to do that. I'm sure there is. Then what I'm going to do is just apply all these. Now, you used to have to go like header tag equals header tag or whatever, like you do in React, which I always thought was super annoying. Now, I think You could just pass it in like that. Maybe. I think maybe you have to wrap it. Maybe that's how it works. I guess you do have to do it. Oh, you know what? I think it's because I was using the experimental feature that I turned off earlier. So I can't do that anymore. So header tag, and then this will be classes. Will be classes, and header styles will be header styles. I think that is how that should work. Okay. So now what I should be able to do is come back over here to my gallery. Inside here, now I have to pass in header tag is going to be H2. Now, how am I going to pass in this slot? I didn't think about that. Maybe I just pass in a header text. Section title. Because it's not necessary that they be the exact same. Like, you might technically want to explain it more in the ARIA attribute because they're going to read the text itself. So this is probably better anyhow. So we'll take the section title in here instead. We'll call this section title. And what is this section titled? Oh yeah, you're right. I could do a spread operator for that and just spread in all the props. Too late now since I changed it. Anyhow, but we'll say order to go here. So let's call this gallery section or something like that. And now when I come back over this way, see this down here should be gallery section. So it's labeled as a gallery section. So that sets it apart. If you don't have that, if you just have a section like this, my understanding is that it's basically just a div. It doesn't do anything special with it being a section tag. Now, I'm not sure why you couldn't just do this with the div, but I think you can also tie this and say like ARIA, well, I guess you do over here, you'd say ARIA labeled by, and then you would point it to the ID of the H2 or the H1 or whatever it happens to be. But anyhow, so that's another thing you can do. All right, back over here, order to go is the next thing I need to pull in here. And this, actually, I do need to pull in the heading, like that. Now, header tag here, I want this to be a link. Classes style. I want this to be an H1, I think, right? And then, oh, you know what? I forgot. I made it slot component once again. So now I can just come in here and basically say, point this to whatever, and this can say order to go here. And that should work the same way. So if I come over here, yeah, so it's large, it's big. The other thing I can do is say underline. So it picks up that same styling. There we go. And then I guess I can just do like MX auto. All right. What's this section? Or I can just call this block. Oh, not bloke. Right? Doesn't that put that and then MX auto? All right, what's going on here? What am I not thinking about that's super obvious? I guess either way, the next thing I need to do, or text center, and then block. Yeah, okay. That was way too much work to get something centered. This almost looks like a different font color, like a really thin line. I'm fine with that. Okay, so let's come back over here. So we got these gallery images. How do they, so they're always 2, no matter what. Okay, that's fine, we can do that. Now, there's a couple ways we can loop over this data. I can just have a local, like images, probably an array, and just loop over each of these. I could pull this in from a data source. So we've got like an Instagram section down here later, which if I speed up here, we should be able to get to. So let me come and just grab all of these, and we'll do it locally here first. So feature, I guess I called it gallery. What are these features? I don't know. All right. So let's call it gallery-1 all the way through gallery-6. So I'm going to say, let's space this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So we'll go together here. We'll say images, gallery dash 1 through whatever that happened to be, JPEG. That works. Come in here. These all need commas. So now what I can do is loop over these. And again, I'm going to use basic like JSX syntax. This needs an equal. Okay. So now I can grab these images and I can loop over them. So I would do this in brackets, just like I would in React or other templating languages. And then I could just map over them. And I can call this whatever I want. So like image. And I'll say for each image, I'm going to return. And again, this would be, I'm returning inside of parentheses here because it's an object basically behind the scenes. What I want here is I want my image thing. Let's see, so I need to pull that in. Let me go to my index, just copy this from here once again. And let me copy this as well. So back over here, let's just paste that in there. And then let's come up top here and we'll grab the image. And again, I'm just going to use the image since I've got a single image rather than multiple sizes. All right, we'll get rid of all this. Quality, that's fine. Coffee stuffs. Let's call this like 600 by 600. And then for this SRC, I can now loop inside here and grab the image itself. All right, hopefully that makes sense. What I'm doing is mapping over my array of images. And for each image, I'm adding this as the SRC. And all the rest of that hopefully makes sense. Yeah, so the numbers all in order is called text pastry. It's an extension in VS Code, and it is awesome. Gallery 6. Gallery 4. Did I misspell some of those? Gallery 1, Gallery 2, Gallery 3, JPEG. Weirdness. Let's make this JPEG like that. I guess I could have also changed it over here, but you know. And maybe it doesn't work like that. So let's return that way. Gallery 3 was the JPEG. There we go. Okay. So now they're all AVIF images. The next thing I'm going to do, I think Tailwind automatically styles those for me. I do need to come in here, and I guess this section I might want to pass in some classes as well. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll pass those along to the section component. So let's call this like grid gap 6, something like that. Let me come over to my section component here, and I'll pull in some classes as well. And I just name them classes because it's easier to keep track of. We'll make it optional, pass in a string, and then here we'll say class is equal to classes. All right. I think that works. Okay, so back over this way. Classes. Did that not get passed in? Grid gap 6. Everything's inside of an H2. I mapped inside my heading. All right. That's okay. I'm fine with that. Okay. Now we pull this out here. There we go. So now everything is out. Maybe what we can also do is let's wrap all of this. So wrap, and this will be, let's just do, I guess we can just do grid. Isn't there like a column 2 or something like that? I forget how they do columns and column span. Column start 2. Those are for children. Columns. What do these do? Oh, it's an actual columns property. Nifty. I just want like a grid template column thingy. All right, let's just do flex. And then flex wrap. And then for each of these, We'll pass on a class here, and this will be flex 1. No. Yeah. Let's just do flex 1 and then basis of like 1/2. 2/3. Something like that. And we won't wrap. I guess we have to wrap. These are like their own little grid children though. Okay, let's do it how I was going to do it originally, and I'll just look up how they do grid template columns here. Because what I want is like, I just want grid template columns repeat too. And then we'd be done. Grid template columns. Hey, grid columns too. I just forget how they do that in Tailwind. That wasn't hard. Okay, so there we go. Looks like these are also spaced out. So let's come back. Here we'll do gap of like 6. And are they spaced out even when you get small? Let's check. Sure thing. But they're a lot smaller, so like grid 2, maybe. And then at medium we can go gap 6. There we go. Okay. I think that should work. Now we're going to call this its own section here. And then this its own section. This will be like the Instagram section down here. All right, but I'm pretty happy with that. Let's head back to my index, and I'm going to steal whatever the spacing I did on this section. So this gap 12, and I'm going to do that on this gallery. So 12. So that way it has the same spacing here, which is what they've got. It could definitely be bigger, but let's do gap 12, and then on like medium, do gap 20. And then I'm going to copy this over, go back to my index. I'll do that here. Sure. Okay. And then when I get bigger, it gives me a little bit more room. That'll work for me. I probably should also... See, these aren't quite centered. What do they do over here? So they just keep them full width no matter what. So let's come back to my gallery. Let's make sure place items center to start with. And then, is that what I want? I guess I want that here. Place items center. I'm fine with that. They don't need to be as big as they've got them. This also needs to be capped at some kind of width. I'm assuming they don't just like stretch this out forever. Okay, so it stays a little bit more central. They just probably get more padding on it. Okay, so let's go to the CTA and let's do that real quick. So inside here, let's see. I guess we'll just do it here. So we'll say medium padding of like, I don't know, 20 or something ridiculous. And then let's also line item center, content center. So I think see if I just shrink the size of this heading, that should work. So let's do that. So we'll pass on here max width of, isn't there like a content or something? Content. No. Max width. All right, max width. Once again, we'll do max width pros. There we go. Looks like my frame rates are dropping again like crazy, so this might make me rethink streaming for at least the next little bit here. Why is that still getting so big? Okay, that'll work. There we go, 3, 4XL. All right, let's do the next little section here. So we've got order to go, we just did that. This is gonna be its own little section, and now that we've set a lot of that stuff up, I think it can be pretty quick. So we'll come in here and maybe we just do it directly in here. So let's call this section like that. And it's a slot component, if I remember correctly. And we need a class as a section title. So let's call this like newsletter sign up or something like that. So that's the name of the section. And again, it's just a slot component. So I can come in here and you can actually name slots if you want. So you can name them and then pass in named components. In this case, I'm not going to do that. We're going to have a heading though. Heading. That, and the header tag here is going to be an H2. Let's see, header styles. Now in this case, I actually want it to basically be like a paragraph. So maybe we pass in paragraph, which in this case won't style it because we don't have anything yet on that, but it will in a second. We also want to space this out a bit, so let's add some classes here. We'll say grid, and then we'll do like gap of 12, 8, oops. 8, something like that. Actually, I think I had 6 I was using earlier. And maybe medium, I do 12. And then let's also pass in here, maybe the follow us on retrograde coffee should actually be the header. So I think I'm going to do that. We'll make this an H2 because I think that looks about right. And then in here is where we'll do href. Actually, this just needs to be follow us, and then inside here this will be at retrograde coffee. I love the branding of this company too. I just think their branding's cool. Right there, might as well point that to a real place since there is a real place. I think all the rest of that works. This is going to need an underline class. Underline. And then let's jump over here and see the damage. Okay, so there we go. We also will need this to be, I guess we can do block and text center. Oh, you know what? That's just the link. So we'll have to pass it in. This needs underline. That's what I just removed, right? So we've got classes we can pass into, right? Classes. And here we'll do text center. Okay. That's what I should have done earlier. I'm not sure what I was thinking earlier. Okay. And then this is underline. Like that. Okay. We also had text above here. And so this can just be in a paragraph tag. Let me just copy this over. Oh, you know what? And I totally forgot. This follow us was going to be down below. That's why I was doing this in the first place. So at least we got this ready. So let's comment that out. This needs to be... Maybe we have another heading. We pull this in directly here. Except in this case, what I'm going to do is pass on. Yeah, so let's have this say something like sign up for our newsletter. And then I will just do screen reader only in here, so that way it doesn't show. So if I come down here, this should say sign up right here. So screen reader only, sign up for a newsletter doesn't show. All right, so it's hidden in the UI, but it declares what this is. Although I've got an RE label that I could just point to it at this point, but anyhow, it's fine. So then we've got a heading there. I think I like that. Let's do that. And then below here, we've got a button. And let's pull this in. And again, control and spacebar tells me everything I need. So a header tag. This is going to be a link. Actually, this is probably going to be a button because they have to sign up. Where am I at? Yeah, so it's sign up. Okay. Header text. This will be sign up. up like that. Let's see, type. What are my options again? Light and dark. Okay, we'll do dark. And then href, it doesn't need to point anywhere. Okay, so that should work. I don't have a dark theme yet, so I need to add that over here. What is this weird protuberance? I guess that's pulling in this maybe? I don't know. We're not going to worry about it right now. Let's place items center here to put everything in the middle. Yeah, I think that should work. And then I think I also maybe need to go to my index and just up the size of all the fonts. So text like large or something, because it all looks a little bit larger than the default, maybe even extra large. Let's go large by default, and then when we get to medium, we'll go text extra large. I think that'll work. All right, so back over here, let's style this. So let me come to my button, and we need background. Is that basically black? Let's see, I lost my color picker thing. Here we go. Let's see. Yeah, it's just black. Okay. So we'll do background black. And maybe that's it. I guess we need text white too. So text white. That'll work. So now this text does look a little bit big. So maybe we should always keep this at like text large or medium. Isn't there like a small? That's too small. They're not like a medium or base, maybe I think is what they call it. Yeah, base. Okay. So there we go. That mostly looks right, I think. So now let's do this next section. So let me close this down. Close this down. All right, so let's copy this out. And this next section, we're just going to call like Instagram. And let's have this be self-closing as well. According to YouTube, it can't see anything. And yeah, so if you're having a real hard time with the stream, let me know. I can kill the stream and just finish this myself and pop it up somewhere. But sorry about that. All right, I'm going to come over here to Instagram. And let's create a component. We're going to call this Instagram. Instagram.astro. And right now, I'm going to drop that in there. And pull this back over this way. Instagram.astro, that should be correct now, right? Yeah. And I pull it in down here. Okay. So we should be set. It should be down this way. I just need to know what this thing is. Okay, so it is just pulling in from my commented out section. Okay, so we'll come over here. Let's uncomment this. And then we need to pull in heading. Let's just do it again like this. Heading. Now we don't have to type it all out. So it imports that. We're set there. Okay, what is this arrow? I thought it was part of that commenting, but evidently not. Oh, weird. Is that this? Yeah, it is. Okay. So let's come back to my index over here. What is it pulling in? It's marking. Oh, it's this. No? That's all closed out. I'm not sure what it's pulling in there. All right, let me know if you see what it is, because that's pretty weird. Let me get rid of this button. Is it gone now? Okay, so it's something to do with the button. So let's come look at the button and see what's going on there. I mean, I know this thing's yelling at me because I didn't type this, but I think that's it. Oh, you know what? For like the 15th time, I forgot that this text, right? Did I make this a, no, I didn't make it a slot. Huh. Oh, it's this right here. Okay. Now we're good. Okay. So we pulled in all this stuff. Let's now loop through these images. And these should follow the same basic thing. They don't, but I'm going to make them follow the same thing. So the other thing I should probably do then is let's create like a image grid.astro, and I'm going to extract the gallery into that. So let's see. I think that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, so let's call this like this. We'll do image gallery. Nope. What am I doing? Const. I don't need to take in anything. Yeah, we're not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is just, so I don't have to remember these styles, I'll just copy them over. So let's grab all these right here. And, oops. And I want this to be a div. And then all this stuff in here will have be class equals that. And then we will just slot everything in here, which obviously this doesn't help us a ton, but at least we don't have to like type this out each time. So yeah, I think that's what I'll do. And then over in my gallery, I can replace this here. So let's get rid of this and get rid of this. And here I'm going to say image, was it grid? Image grid, there we go. So I'm going to close this off like this, oops, and put this all inside here. And that way, all I have to do is do the same thing for this next section, and they should all map the same way because all the styling is done by the parent. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so now all I have to do is add these images, and what I'm going to do is let's change it up a little bit. We've done local looping. Let's now do like an import. So let's create another folder called data in the SRC. And we'll call this like, I don't know, Instagram.ts. And this, we'll do the same thing, except maybe, yeah, let's do export. We'll call it Instagram images or whatever. And let's make this an array. And inside here, we'll have an SRC, which will point to whatever the SRC is, which we'll do in a second. And then we'll do an alt, which will point to whatever the alt is. That we'll do in a second. All right, so let me copy this alt down here. Let's go down a bunch of times. And then I have 6 Instagrams, something like that. So let me grab this first one, hit Command-Shift-L, come in here and do images, Instagram, and then I'll use my text pastry again to add those all .jpeg, it looks like. For all those? Yeah. Now, for all these alts, I'll actually do the same thing. Except maybe, yeah, let's do the same thing. So I'm going to come in here and say like coffee, image, and then I'll do text pastry 1 to whatever. And you can do that with Emmet too. Now, let's grab this Instagram image as if it were like an external API, which I guess we could also set this up with like JSON server, but that's probably overkill for a Instagram component. But so we can say Instagram images, and I guess I could have made that the default export. Maybe let's do that. Instagram images like that. Let's do default export default. I don't know why that's one I can never remember like the order they go into until I mess stuff up. Oh, you know what? Let's just do it like this. All right. So there we go. So we've got that exported as the default. Let's just grab this in here. Sure that'll work. And this is an import from something. Let's go up. Let's go to data. Let's go to Instagram. We'll call that good. So now what I can do is loop over each of these, just like I did in my gallery. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the gallery, image grid, all this kind of stuff. We'll just grab all this right here. And what I'm going to do is paste this into Instagram. Let's also pull in the image grid. That way it imports it up top. Right there. I guess we'll move those together. Then what I'm going to do is loop over my Instagram images. And inside here, I've got an image. And what I need is image.src for these. And for the alt, I need the image.alt. So just to show you that you can access like properties on an object. Let's see, we also need image and where's the, let's pull it up here, right here. Okay. Let's see if that worked. Got that, got that, got that. Okay. Oh no, I killed something. It yelled at me too many times for not giving it what it wanted. I think I'm good though. Let's see, we roll down. Wait, yes. All right, so they all pulled in and they should all have their own things as well. So, hey, welcome. Thanks, Dante. I don't know, it's just frustrating. Now it says my connection is excellent. I need to talk to my internet provider again. Supposedly, I don't know, they had to change around some stuff that was messed up, and now supposedly it's fixed, but clearly it is not, so it's kind of frustrating. Let's see, the other thing I need, I guess, if I come over to this gallery, is I kind of want this same thing here, so let's go ahead and do that. So, see, I guess I never put this in a section either, so I should probably do that. So let's pull this over, and let's have a section in here. Sure, we'll call this Instagram images. We already have that follow us. This can be around everything here. It should reformat it for me. Okay, cool. So now that should all be spaced out properly, I think. Let's see, why is this not... Did I put everything inside another header tag or something? Did I really? I did it again. Twice in a row. Okay, so there we go. Now it's all pulling in properly and shows you just how easy it is to loop over stuff now using an import rather than writing it locally. Pulling these... So I'm actually just pulling it from I just downloaded all their stuff from their website. It is a pain in the butt to do, to actually pull stuff from an Instagram account. I wrote something for a client, serverless function that went and grabbed all their stuff. But Instagram, I think they protect you from, I was trying to use Cloudinary to resize the images and all this kind of stuff. So it wasn't that hard to get up an app running, but every 90 days you have to re-authenticate. So that's kind of frustrating, but I just have a script that does it, and every 90 days it pops up and asks me if I want to run it. I run it, it updates it, we're good. But it's still kind of frustrating. So, but yeah, all I've done is basically download the hard images that they already have on their website, and that's what we've added here. Okay, so it looks like these next two images are just randomly large images. And they just snap down. So maybe let's not make this its own component. Let's just do this directly inside here. And I'm not even going to call this a section. I'm just going to let's just do a flex wrap. And then inside here, we're going to have two images. So actually, let's just copy one of these images down from up above again, so I don't have to remember what to type out. We'll do a width of 800. And we'll do coffee, that's fine. That's fine there. Not sure what I want here, so let's just delete that for now. Now these images here, I want this to be my, what did I see those as earlier? Feature 1 and 2, I think that's what I called them. Feature 1 Is that a JPEG? Okay. .jpeg. So we'll have one there, and we'll have one here. This will be feature 2. So if we come back over this way, there we go. They're stacked up next to each other. Eventually, they, I think, should go next to each other. Let's change both these maybe to like 600, 500. Something like that. Okay, so they should stack next to each other. Now I just need to say justify content, justify center, I think. That's how they do that. Other thing is they need a gap of like 6 or something. Eventually, okay, so eventually they kind of get to that middle spot. So maybe let's change these widths to like, I don't know, something ridiculous. Let's do 1800 or something. So they're huge to start with. Oh, I guess it's the ratio that I need to be concerned about. So I think they're supposed to be taller than they are. So how do you feel about that? I feel good about that? Okay. So let's snap those next to each other, and maybe when we get to like a medium size, we just change the flex basis. So medium basis, we'll do like 2/3, or sorry, 1/3. So now, right? Oh, I need a flex 1 on here as well to give me a grow. And then where's my, I thought I just had to change it. Maybe 1/3 isn't an option. What's 1/3 not an option? It is. I think maybe just because I have the size intrinsically so large. I still thought they would split size though. Let's try here. Now that script you'd want to see about Instagram. I've long thought about doing a video on it, but that was like several months ago, and I kind of gave up on the idea because I'm like, I kind of hate working with Facebook, and I have to like create a separate Facebook account and then show how that works and like hide my API key the whole time. And I don't know. Maybe I can do it, or I might just write it up in a blog post because it's easier to do that kind of stuff there. But let's go back to Flex 1. I'm not sure why this isn't working because I should just be able to change the basis. Is 1/3 not an option? Was that really it? What if I do like 5/12? Why is that not flex? I'll just turn off wrapping, I guess. It's like no wrap or something? Yeah. All right, well, that could have gone better. So maybe we just say, let's get rid of all this and this. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong, but it should not be complicated. This is not complicated stuff. Right now, I'm just going to leave it on flex wrap like that. Let's change this width to like 500. We'll do 800, and then these will change to like 1200 and call it a day. And you can tell me what I did wrong in the description. Class launch flex. I don't know. It should grow and then it should snap. I don't know. All right, you can tell me what I did wrong. Okay, we're going to call that good for now because I got to hurry up and finish up. So let's come here. let's do the next section will be this contact section, and this gives me another chance to do some data imports. Now we've got stuff down here. It looks like they need to update their copyright, so let's do this. Let's create another little thing. Let's come in here and we'll say, let's make this a JSON file. So we'll say like contact.json, and yeah, so let's just make this, I guess, an array. Let's make this an object. Yeah, I don't need to do that. It's not JavaScript. So we'll say phone. Let's call this like phone or something like that. And inside here, we'll have a bunch of random things. This needs to be quotation marks. I might bail out of JSON in a second here, trying to type this manually, but I'll say like face or text, something like that. And again, this needs to be like this. So this is going to be what it looks like. So this will be a string. So 964, this is their actual number. So you should call them up. You should definitely order coffee from these people, or if you're near Nashville, just go there. So after this text, I might also, let's come in here next. All right, let me know if you're not. YouTube is now telling me it's getting 0 data. So I might be just literally by myself here. So please let me know if you can still see. It would not surprise me if that's why we have people dropping off constantly. So if you can still see what I'm doing, let me know. That would be helpful. Otherwise, I'm just gonna kill the stream. All right, so the text, this would be this right here. And then this is gonna be the same thing, except this is gonna say Maltu. Like that. Let's see. What else might we have on here? Location. And here. Let's see. I guess we could do the same thing. So we could have a text property on here. So text, and then it would be that. Actually, this will give me a chance to show you the HTML attribute we can add. So I'll leave it like that. Still haven't heard from anybody if you can even see me right now. So let me know if you can still see what's going on here. And then let's have an href. And this is going to point to wherever they're, I'm assuming they have like a Google Map link or something. Search. Oh, that's weird. Okay, so they don't actually have this pointing to their real place. Let's go directions. And then I can just copy this, I think. Maybe. Dante can still see. All right, let's come in here and add that. Why don't we just do it like this, and that way you can just find that on the map. Okay, so that'll be the link. Oh, what's the other thing I have? Nope, back. Okay. Let's do hours, and then we'll call it good. So I'm gonna copy this down. We'll call this hours. Except in this case, I've got, let's just have some text here. I don't know that I need anything else. I'll say Monday to Saturday will be 1. This will be Sunday. All right, and I'll just copy, I guess we'll just copy all this and just paste it in here. Now these should probably be in like date semantic elements here, but I think for now I'm just going to leave it like that. All right, so the point is you can import these. That's what I was trying to show you. So let's come in here. Okay, so this contact section we create. So let me jump over here and we'll say contact.astro. All right, and let's import our contacts, our contact info or whatever, from, let's go up a level to my data to my contact.json. All right, so I've got that. Now what I can do is I can loop over it here in a second or just select individual things I need from it. So now let's just leave that for now. Okay, so we're going to pull in a section tag here, our custom section tag, which I probably shouldn't have called section because that's obviously the same, sounds the same as the actual section tags. We'll say contact us or something like that. Let me re-put this thing back in here. This is trying to help me out. Let's see, what else do I need in here? Classes or things I can add. So let's add like grid and maybe like gap. That looks a little bit bigger, 12, something like that. Do they stack next to each other? They do, but that can be its own little section. So we'll call this a section, this a section, and this a section. And they'll just kind of wrap as they need to. Let's see, down here. Okay, cool. So inside here, this is where we're going to add all our other things. So we're going to have a heading here. And this should say contact. This needs to have a header tag, which would be H2. Style, which we're going to make be paragraph. And then I need to add that because I never ended up adding that. So just say paragraph, and I guess right now we'll just say it's uppercase. Maybe that's what we call this, upper. And then we'll call this upper, which means I could also probably header styles. I can make this H1, H2, or upper. Now there may be a way to basically grab these from this object in TypeScript, but I don't know what it is. I'm just learning TypeScript myself, so I'm not super sure. Let's see. I'm going to actually do something a little bit different here. So I'm going to add a class here that's screen reader only, and just call this that section, contact us, like that. And then these sections each will have H3s, which will do the same way. And this can be, it doesn't really need a header style, I guess, but we'll just leave it there. It's not going to hurt anything because it's hidden. Okay, so then each of these little sections, so this is going to be, we'll do grid, gap, 8. I don't know, we're just making stuff up now, but I'm going to pull this up. This is going to say contact, that'll work. Below here is where we'll actually grab our contact info dot. And here I can just get access to everything in TypeScript, which is cool. So I could say phone, all right? And I can basically pull in like the, I don't know, whatever properties I have on my phone. I don't remember. It should be showing me those. Contact. Well, for some reason it's not. So, or text, I think is what I had that as. So if I say that, that should just pull in the text of the phone number, right? If I put contact in here. So let's do that first. So below here, we'll say contact, pull that in. There we go, down this way. These images are so messed up. I need to figure out what I did here. Oh, I changed the width and the height, the wrong things. Oh my. All right, well, at least that's kind of close. All right, so you see it's actually pulling in that text there for the contact, which is cool. What I want though, is I want this to actually be a link. Let's come over here. So I want this to be a link. So let's say like that. And then I want this, oops, to be contact.info.href. And then this to be contact.info.text. Now I'm going to copy this down. And actually let's wrap this because this has a gap already. So we'll do wrap, grid, gap 2 maybe. And space this out, and I'm going to do the same thing, except I'll copy down here. For both of these, I want my email instead. So now if I move back over this way, I should have both of those, and they have links to them as well, which is cool. Let's also add underline to both of these, and that way they're set and ready to go. Everything else here should also be text center, because I think that's how they have it. Yeah. All right, so we got the same thing down below. Let's see, let's copy this. because these are a little bit different for each of them, I'm not doing a huge loop. I'm just obviously doing individual little loops here. So we'll say hours on this next section. And then here, these will be even easier because I'm just gonna do hours. And let's see, we did Sunday was one of them, right? The other one I called Monday through Saturday. There we go. Now it's pulling it in. And it's cool with that import, it even automatically converts it to that bracketed syntax. Okay, last one, and then we'll check our work and see how that worked out. Let's grab this because it will be a link. And I'm going to have to change this around a touch, actually. No, I'm not. This all needs to be wrapped inside of another flexed or div with flex. So we'll do flex, justify between, actually justify center, and then maybe like medium will be justify between. So we're wrapping these two individual sections. This is going to say location. And then here, let's see, I don't need two links, just one. This is going to say location, like that. I think all the rest of that will be the same. Let's see how we did. All right, could be worse. All right, so these need to be flex wrap first of all. Like that. Right? Maybe these could be flex call to start with, and then at medium, go to flex row, and then they'll spread out all the way across like they did here as well. Yeah. All right, we do need a max width on this section too, so let's go ahead and do that. So we'll do max width of like 7XL and MX Auto, put it in the middle. That way, it should stay in the middle. It's probably too small. So let's do max width. What are our other options here? Max width. Oh, come on. Hey, I already have it pulled up. Nice. Let's just do max width large. That'll work. So right here. And then that should basically cap it to the middle. This section is that big. This must be its parent container. I must be messing that up somehow. It's text center. That's not it. It's this right here. So let's just justify between no matter what. Huh. Isn't it justify between? Maybe it's just space between. I forget what the Tailwind classes are because I write mostly CSS, so let's check it out. All right, justify center. Wow, it's so slow it can't even search the docs for goodness. Justify center, justify and justify between. I had it justify between. Huh. All right, I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. Again, I'm really sorry for the stream quality. Hopefully you're still getting something. For now, we're going to call that good. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you here is this text itself. So if you want to add HTML directly to this, you actually don't add it inside the tag. In Astro, you can do set HTML like this, and then just add it directly in here. And it will basically add this as HTML. So it'll wrap it down, add that break tag or whatever in there as well. All right, we're going to call that good for now. YouTube still says it has no data coming in. So again, hopefully somebody's out there. Let's see, those are all fine. So let's come inside here and do one more thing, which is to add our image. Like that. And we'll add everything we need in here. So src, we're going to point to our images.map.jpg, maybe. We also need to pull in our, let's do this. Import image. image. Is that working? Okay, just had to add a width and a height, so let's go width. Yeah, I don't know what's the matter with YouTube. I don't know if it's my connection, if it's YouTube, but whatever it is, it's frustrating because I was hoping this would be enjoyable to watch. But I'm pretty sure I would have already checked out if it were me because ain't nobody want to watch that. All right, let's come in here. Alt will be my map. Let's see what the actual image is. It's a PNG. There we go. Okay. Let's do like 800, 600, something like that. Looks a little bit more true to form. Probably not even that big. Okay. Last section. let's do 500 and 650 or something. 450. All right. Last section is just this footer area. It's kind of hard to read, but that's fine. So let's come over here. And below here, we're going to have a footer. This should probably be its own component as well. So let's say footer.astro. Oops. Footer.astro, like that. And then this is going to be a footer, not a foot. And in here, we'll have several things. Looks like 3 separate things. I need to import my same thing I did before. So in this contact, we'll import this contact info directly in here. Here we'll have the footer that we're going to pull in. And this contact info, we can grab what we need to from down there as well. So we're going to have an image as well. So let me grab image. I'll grab this Astro component. And I think the problem before was that it wasn't surrounded like that. What I've got here is a couple things I need to pull in actually. So I've got the logo mark and then the dots PNG. So those are both PNGs. So I'll say screen, images, logo mark dot PNG. And then the alt here will be logo mark, I guess. This is going to be a width of, let's do like 80. That's probably more like 120. Height of 120. And I think that one should be good, except something. Oh, it's trying to grab from the wrong place. I think it used to be there, and so that's why. But they've moved it around some. So, okay, there we go. I'm also going to need my dots. So we'll say dots. Here, I want this to be more like 2000, and maybe, I don't know, 600, something like that. And I'm going to steal the same classes that I had on my header section right up here because it needs to be behind everything. So footer, we'll add these as classes eventually. All right. And then this is also going to need a class of relative. There we go. Okay. So it is officially showing up. 500, I don't know, something like that. Oh, it's taking up full height because of this. So now, if it shows up, okay, there we go. So now it's working. Let's also do grid, place items center, and like a gap of 12 maybe. Back over here, got a couple things to add, and then I've got this section here. I can show you how to write some vanilla JavaScript. Since we've written no JavaScript yet, we can write that in Astro. Okay, so let me grab my contact stuff. Let's go ahead and just grab the contact info right here. And let's also grab this. Okay, so let's add that kind of one after the other. I guess this goes up top, right? Like that. And, looks like they made that darker. It actually reads better without it, so that's what I'm going to do. We'll do padding of like 8 maybe. because that's outside the main too, so it needs some padding on the left and right. Maybe we'll do padding X 8 and padding Y of 12. It must be my internet because yeah, I think that must be it. Okay, we'll put that in the middle. Let's also put text center here as well. And then I'm going to wrap these two together in a div just to keep them next to each other. So do wrap. Let's put them in a div. Last thing is the little section down here. Let's also make this block, I guess. Oh, it stays below. There we go. Okay. Last section is this right here. So let's have this as a copyright little section. So we'll have a copyright, and then just right inside here, I'll have like a span. And this will say like ID of copyright, something like that. And then what I can do is inside this component, I can have a little script tag. And that way you can kind of keep everything styled. Technically, if I wrote CSS in here and then the script in here, everything contained to this component is in the single component, which I think is how Svelte does it too. One of these days, that's kind of my next thing I want to learn is Svelte. So what we need is the document.query selector, and I want to select copyright, and I want to take its text content. Let's move over here just so we can see it actually happen. All right, and I want to, yeah, that works. Let's see, it's just TypeScript yelling at me right now. I want new date dot get full year. I mean, not at all what I'm wanting. Dot to string. Isn't this what I want? I want to set the text content to the return of this. Const this year equals. How about this? Same thing. Let's just figure out what's going on here. All right, I got that. Good. Let's also, let's also figure out what this is. New.date. So why is it? Oh, I guess I have to do it off of that maybe. Const this year equals date dot get full year. Oh, I think I just forgot to call the function. I just named it. Let's back this whole thing up and see if that works. Like this. Okay. That's all we needed. And I could type that so it would stop yelling at me. All right, well, hopefully that gives you an idea of how to use Astro. That was kind of the point of this stream. Sorry again for the quality. We never got around to doing the nav bar. But I think all things considered, I should probably call it good. Again, if you've never heard of Retrograde Coffee, it's a small little coffee shop in Tennessee, and I think you should order something from them. All right, so let's see what they got. Maybe I'm going to order something right now. Look at this. All right. Let's see. I don't think they have my cup on here. At least I'm not seeing it. Honor of women who carefully grow, harvest, and process it. Red apple, semi-sweet chocolate, black cherry. Okay, I might order some of this. You should too, and that way they get a bunch of random orders from around, around wherever they can order ship to. All right. Well, hey, well, thanks so much for following along. Sorry again for the quality of the stream, but hopefully you learned some about Astro, and I don't know, it was a fun way to start a day after a vacation here in the U.S. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one, and happy coding.